356 BC. A night that would change the course of history, though no one knew it yet. Macedonia was a small kingdom in northern Greece. Its powerful neighbors looked down upon it. Athens, Sparta, Corinth. To many Greeks, the Macedonians were little more than uncivilized barbarians from the north. But tonight, inside the royal palace at Pella, a child is being born. And on that very same night, hundreds of miles away in Ephesus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis, is consumed by flames. The Greeks would later say that Artemis was not there to protect her temple. She was in Pella, helping bring a child into the world. Olympias, Alexander's mother. She was no ordinary queen. A princess of Epirus, she was fierce, ruthless, and deeply devoted to mystical religious practices. Ancient writers claim she belonged to a serpent-worshipping cult, and often kept sacred snakes in her private chambers. Even King Philip was said to be unsettled by her. She told her son a story that Alexander would remember for the rest of his life. One night, Zeus himself, the king of the Greek gods, had appeared in the form of a divine serpent. Alexander, she said, was not the son of an ordinary man. He was the son of a god. Was it true? Was it simply a legend? No one knows. But Alexander believed it. And when a man truly believes he is destined by the gods, there are very few limits he is willing to accept. The burning of the Temple of Artemis became one of the most discussed omens of the ancient world. A Greek historian wrote that the goddess had allowed her temple to burn because she was busy witnessing the birth of the man who would reshape history. Was it an omen, a warning, or simply coincidence? No one can say. But for Alexander, it became proof that his birth was no accident. He believed destiny had chosen him. Philip II, Alexander's father. History is full of fathers whose greatness overshadows their sons. Philip was one of them. He transformed Macedonia from a struggling tribal kingdom into the strongest military power in the Greek world. He was a brilliant strategist, a gifted diplomat, a fearless warrior, and he constantly challenged his son. Whenever Alexander achieved something remarkable, Philip would tell him, "My son, seek a kingdom worthy of yourself. Macedonia is too small for you." It sounded like praise, but those words planted a hunger inside Alexander. A hunger that would never be satisfied. Philip completely reinvented the Macedonian army. In doing so, he transformed warfare itself. Greek hoplites fought with relatively short spears. Philip introduced something entirely different: the Sarissa, a massive pike measuring between 13 and 18 feet long. Its length made cavalry charges almost impossible. The first rows pointed their spears directly forward. The rows behind angled theirs above, creating an enormous moving wall of steel. Very few enemies could survive a direct assault against it. Philip combined this powerful phalanx with his elite companion cavalry. The infantry fixed the enemy in place. The cavalry struck from the flanks. It became one of history's most devastating military systems. The same system that Alexander would soon use to conquer much of the known world. Several years later, Alexander was 12 years old. A magnificent horse named Bucephalus was brought before King Philip. The horse was enormous, black, powerful, wild. Every experienced rider failed to control him. One after another, they were thrown to the ground. Philip decided the horse was useless and ordered it to be sent away. Then the young prince stepped forward. "I can ride him." The royal court laughed. Philip himself was doubtful. But Alexander noticed something no one else had. The horse wasn't vicious. He was terrified. terrified of his own shadow. Alexander quietly turned Bucephalus toward the sun. The frightening shadow disappeared behind him. The horse slowly calmed Alexander, gently spoke to him, touched him, earned his trust. Then, without force, he mounted him. Bucephalus stood perfectly still. Philip was overwhelmed. According to ancient accounts, tears filled his eyes. He embraced his son and declared, "My son, find yourself a greater kingdom. Macedonia is too small for you." From that day forward, Bucephalus would carry no one but Alexander. Together they would ride across continents, until the horse's death in India. Philip wanted his son to become more than a warrior. He wanted him to become the most educated ruler in the world. So he hired the greatest philosopher of his age, Aristotle, student of Plato, master of philosophy, science, biology, politics, ethics, literature, and medicine. Perhaps the most influential thinker in history, Philip built a private academy at Mieza exclusively for Alexander. And Aristotle arrived, ready to shape the mind of a future king. For 3 years, Alexander studied under Aristotle. He learned not simply what to think, but how to think, how to observe, how to question, how to analyze every problem from multiple perspectives. He studied medicine. Throughout his campaigns, Alexander personally treated wounded soldiers. He studied geography. His expeditions carefully mapped the lands he conquered. He studied ethics and kingship. Aristotle hoped Alexander would become a philosopher king, a ruler guided by wisdom rather than ambition. Alexander absorbed every lesson. Then he chose his own path. Among all Aristotle's teachings, one stood above the rest: Homer's Iliad, the story of Achilles. A warrior who knew he would die young, he was offered a choice: a long, quiet, forgotten life, or a short life filled with eternal glory. Achilles chose glory, and thousands of years later, the world still remembers his name. Alexander read the Iliad every night. He kept it beneath his pillow. Alongside a dagger, Aristotle personally prepared an annotated copy for him. Alexander carried that book all the way into Asia. Achilles became his hero, his mirror, his obsession. If Achilles could achieve immortality through glory, why couldn't he? While Alexander studied philosophy, Philip's army trained relentlessly outside day after day. The Macedonian Phalanx became a living machine. Every soldier moved together, breathed together, fought together. Alexander trained among them. He did not merely study warfare from books, he marched. He carried the Sarissa, he practiced tactics, he learned war from inside the ranks. At 16, Philip left on campaign instead of leaving an experienced noble in charge. He appointed his teenage son as regent of Macedonia. Soon afterward, a Thracian tribe rebelled. They believed a boy could never stop them. Alexander marched personally against the rebels. He defeated them, captured their city, settled Macedonian veterans there, then renamed it Alexandropolis. He was only 16 years old and he had already founded his first city. When Philip returned, he heard what his son had accomplished. Some believed he felt proud. Others believed he felt jealous. Perhaps both were true. Born in 356 BC, son of a queen who believed he was divine, raised beneath the shadow of an extraordinary father, master of Bucephalus, student of Aristotle, follower of Achilles, and now, at 18 years old, he became something even greater. 338 BC, the Battle of Chaeronea. Philip's phalanx held the enemy in place. On the right flank, Alexander led the companion cavalry. His target was the most elite military unit in Greece, the Sacred Band of Thebes, 300 warriors. Never defeated, Alexander broke them. For the first time in history, the Sacred Band was destroyed. Greece fell silent. Macedonia had won. Philip had won. But everyone watching understood one thing. The boy was gone. A conqueror had arrived. Soon Philip would make one final decision. A new marriage, a new queen. And that decision would change everything.